Hey everyone, Stegar here, and welcome back to Fairview. In today's episode, we're going to be working on some areas on the edge of the city, and here I'm starting off by placing down a road that leads out to that back road, which will kind of continue through into some other parts of the area. But right now I'm placing down this parking lot that will serve a Home Depot here. I originally was thinking of using some of the River Park Mall assets by Cristo Listo to create like a little shopping centre here, but in searching through my Rico buildings, beside those was this Home Depot building, and I just decided that instead of going with my original idea, I would place down a Home Depot here. And here I'm just trying to sort of line it up with the parking lot. I ended up removing like all this stuff and reducing the size as I feel it was a bit sort of too big for what I wanted and just took up way too much space. And I just kept a little bit of area at the end where cars could turn around and what have you. But here I'm also connecting it up, as you can see. But my main idea was just to have this area filled in with some sort of commercial, and this is what it ended up being. The parking lot actually gets used quite a lot here, which surprised me. In other areas of the city, the parking has kind of been underutilized, and it just looks like some barren, empty concrete land, which is kind of realistic in a way when you see parking lots that only really get used on like Black Friday sales or something. And here, just kind of connecting it up by using these concrete brushes from the Ultimate Area Fillers pack. I had to think about that one for a second there, but they're from the Ultimate Area Fillers, and I just use them to kind of connect up the concrete. And since they aren't surface painted, they actually sort of make a nice edge, whereas the surface painter snaps to that grid and looks horrible. I think you'll know what I'm talking about if you use surface painter at all. If not, then well, we're placing down trees here, as you can see, and I'm trying to use a variety of trees, like some bare ones and some red ones and some orange ones, and a little bit of variety to add some color anyway. I think my favorites are the orange sugar maple trees by Mr. Mason that come with that sugar maple 4-pack that I've been using forever in this city, but I've also added in a whole lot of new trees over like the past 10 episodes or something, whereas previously I was only using the sugar maples and it didn't look that great. I mean, it still looks okay, but I think it looks a lot better when you have a lot more variety with the trees. And here I'm just placing down some more trees along this railway line. I actually changed stuff in the last episode with this railway line. Previously it was sort of just a mess of ploppable surfaces and a concrete wall around the edge and some weird little train track that didn't really conform to the terrain that much, that I kind of edited in the asset editor really sort of badly, I guess. And I decided to change that using just a bridge from the vanilla railways and putting the concrete walls under there. I mean, you can barely see it except for like some very isolated cases when you're up very close to it. But here I'm also placing down like a whole lot of farm fields and just putting some trees around the edge here to kind of shield off the farm fields from the Home Depot. And you'll see me soon go around and put like a whole lot of fallen leaf decals here too, as I've started doing now anyway. And just sort of using these big ones and going around the edges where you'd see them. I've kind of decided to only do this really here. I sort of got bored of doing this and didn't do it in the rest of the episode, and only really around the farm fields that we'll be building out for the next couple of minutes. And then I guess I got bored. I sort of just did some other stuff later in the episode, which we'll see when we get to it, and never really got around to doing the fallen leaves in that area. I mean, I wasn't quite sure, but I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll stop talking about that and start talking about this little house that we're placing down. Just some random little farmhouse with a little like barn, as you can see here, and I was just duplicating that and using the painter mod to try and match the colors. For some reason it doesn't let me copy over the colors from the painter mod sometimes, so I kind of had to guess in this case as to what looked the best, and using the surface painter a little bit to place down some gravel there, so it looks a bit more connected to the driveway there that is made of gravel, and going around here with some like wire fences and things to just kind of fence off the house from the farm fields and things. And I think I ended up converting a lot of these decals into procedural objects so that they don't go over the fence like you can, or I mean you can't see it now because I've already converted them, but before they were going over the fence networks, and it doesn't really look so great, whereas when you convert them to procedural objects it changes the shape of them so that they don't do that. Or at least since I was doing this, I think it was before that Move It update came out, you could actually still do that. I think that's changed back to like the old way now. Well, might have been procedural objects update or something, but things have changed, and when you convert using Move It now, it just converts normally, whereas it used to convert it and have like a very narrow height for the decals, which in some cases was annoying and a pain, but in other cases worked quite well when you didn't want them showing over various networks and things. And I kind of just exploited that little bug or whatever it was for a while I was trying to do stuff over fences and things. Anyway, here we're working on a little T intersection that kind of connects up this main road from the top of the screen with the main bypass around the city. There's also going to be another intersection off to, well, not on this shot, but further along that road that we'll work on later, and also connects up with parts of the city. Here, anyway, we're placing down another farmhouse and just putting some fences and things around it. I mean, this is fairly similar to the other farmhouse that we built just before. So anyway, it gives me a good chance to talk about the comments from last episode because, well, I got quite a few more than I was expecting, let's put it that way. I think I got like 7 or 8 from various different people, which is more than I was expecting, but clearly that's a sign that you guys are enjoying my content and like how the city is looking. I mean, especially so since you'd like to point it out on a regular basis. I've got a comment here from Rowendi who says the city looks great, they love it, and keep it up, bro. Thank you, Rowendi, for those kind words. It really means a lot. Brandon Fooch is I'm first, which he has been for the past few episodes, so try and beat Brandon to being the first comment next time, maybe. We've also got one from Jakrel. I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry, but I know that I have a lot to do with you on Twitter, but he's loving that first opening cinematic shot with the parking lot beside the mall, and also thinks that the suburban areas of the city from last episode look really realistic. So thank you for that. I mean, there's more from your comment, but I'm not going to go through all of it now. Arlas is wondering what I've got in the pipe for the next series. I mean, I'm not going to tell you anything more than that it's going to be set on my Alexandria map, or a like redone version of that, because I'm currently going through it now and redoing that map because I don't like some things about it and think it could be done a whole lot better, and adding in a bit more detail to that map too. He also left another comment about my use of fences and says that I'm probably using an excessive amount of props, which is probably right, but I mean, considering that I've only used about 10,000 in the city up to this point, I'm not really concerned about my usage of props and reaching the prop limit, as there's not much left to do in the city and it will probably be finished in a few episodes time. I mean, I've been mentioning this on and off over the last few episodes, but just in case you're not aware, this project isn't far from completion. And Austrian Spider, who's been one of my loyal subscribers for a very long time, I think he was one of my first 10 subscribers, is saying that the city's getting really big and he's still in love with the colour settings like he was a few episodes ago. He also thinks I'm a fence enthusiast because of my use of fences in the last episode, and I mean, sort of. I mean, how else am I going to separate out the houses and things if I don't put fences around them? Anyway, if you've got any thoughts on the city, good or bad even, maybe be a bit critical about my skills here, leave a comment and I'd love to hear from you, and hopefully you can give me some ideas for things I can do in this city before I finish it up in a few episodes. Anyway, here I'm placing down some white line decals that I coloured yellow with procedural objects. I discovered that I don't actually have any yellow line decals in the asset list for the series, so rather than restarting the game, which I ended up doing after this anyway for a different reason, I decided to just colour the line decals with procedural objects, and also kind of manipulate some of these as well to achieve some other lane markings that I don't know, probably could have otherwise, but it would have just resulted in something different. And here we're working on like some new suburb. There's still a lot of construction going on here, and while I was actually working through this, my game crashed due to prop it up. I had just saved the game thankfully, but my game crashed, and I kind of had to laugh at the fact that I had just saved and the game crashed like right after I'd saved, but I knew that there is that risk with prop it up, and I just wanted to warn you to always save your game before doing anything with prop it up, just in case you encounter the same problems that I do. Yeah, it was this house here with the hedges, and that cut is where I restarted the game and came back in and started placing more houses. Anyway, here in the suburb I'm using mainly the European suburbia houses that come in that content creator pack that you have to pay for. Just because, I mean, they're already in my game no matter what, basically, unless I disable that DLC on Steam, and it just saved me having to go through and look for more houses on the workshop or something to find a more modern area. I mean, I'm also using some of the vanilla villas that really do just come with the base game, but I'm using them sparingly so that it doesn't become too apparent that I'm just creating like a vanilla suburb. And yeah, just extending out the stuff a bit. I think I end up deleting some of these changed roads as well too, but just placing down a whole lot of houses, and as well as mixing in these construction sites. I think it was about at this point that I realized there were these ones with without the fences and things, and beyond that point I just started exclusively using those, and then that would allow me to do my own fence detailing like what I'm doing here. And you can see me like just place down one and then just place down the fences around it. I mean, this corner lot seems a lot bigger than a lot of the other ones, but that is because it's on the corner and it's sort of hard to access from the road when it bends around. And you'll see that I'm also leaving some like properly empty lots that could be developed in the future, but it have been subdivided off and the land around them sold to make more houses. And here I'm working on like an old farmhouse. I think I actually placed that building around the wrong way, not realizing, and later on I sort of rotated around so that it is the right way, and also placed down that little like warehouse or whatever it is. I think it's an industrial building, but I just imagine that it's like a barn for a farm, and this used to be the farmhouse before the land was sold off to build the new suburb behind it. And just placing down some trees here, picking out some evergreen ones first, and then going through my collection of fall trees to kind of fill out the rest of the area. I probably went a bit heavy on the trees there compared to other areas around here, but that's mainly because that house would have been there for a long time, and there would have been a lot of time for them to plant trees and also for the trees to grow and things. And here I'm just creating like where the road would go in the future, and using some like dirt decals and things to roughen it up as well. And here's a little before and after of some stuff I did off screen, which included placing down a whole lot of trees and things. It took a little bit of work and wasn't really all that interesting, so I decided to cut it out and show you this park where I just placed down like a little playground, as well as a few smaller trees like the fall linden trees, I think they are. We're almost at the end of the episode, so if you've enjoyed this one, leave a like, comment on this one if you've got any nice feedback, and you might get it mentioned in another episode. I'm not sure whether that feature will stay or whether it's just a one-off thing that I'm trying. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one, where we'll be back in Hunterville working on a new suburb.